G'day folks, welcome to the UK Games Expo live stream. My name's Millie. I'm joined by UK Games Expo marketing manager Kate. She's up above me here on the stream. And we've got a new face on our left or right. I never get it right. It's Stu from Just Gaming over in Guernsey. How you doing, folks?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
And
really good.
Yeah,
I'm bemoaning the fact that it's getting colder because I'm a southern shandy drinking handbag apparently, and we can't even escape into sunshine for a couple of weeks, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
What are things like much further south then, Stu?
Currently wet, windy, and I think we're on a force 10. No, it's not quite that bad. it's just wet today.
Oh dear.
So where is it? Where are you? Yeah, where is it that's just wet as opposed to cold and grey here in the northwest UK?
So we're in the Gulf of St Malo, so France, as everyone loves telling me. Guernsey Channel Islands. So there's 3 Channel Islands in the Gulf of St Malo which belong to England. Hard fought by Oliver Cromwell way back when. William the Conqueror and all that lot. Let's go into history. And then we are a Crown dependency. We are lucky because we're such a small island. It's really easy for us to lock down our borders. So we have been COVID free pretty much for the last 8, 9, 10 weeks. And when I say COVID free, there's like 1 active case on the island. The highest we've had in the last 3 months was 7.
Wow. There aren't like 10 of you or something. Again, this is reassuring everyone who watches this.
I checked this before because I was doing a little bit of and there's 63,000 people, which is roughly the same as something like Oxford or somewhere. Yeah. So imagine for people like me who have no geographical sense, which is ironic because I studied cartography at university. Don't know where anything is.
It's to make D&D maps, wasn't it, Mills?
It was, yes, literally. So some other cities the size of Oxford, but only managing to have a maximum of 7 COVID cases. Congratulations!
Yeah. Good job. Good job. You're winning at pandemic so far.
Yeah. It kind of helped that one of the people in charge, the person in charge of our public health locally, is actually an epidemiologist.
Awesome.
It is.
I love the idea that they're an epidemiologist and they've chosen to live on an island because that way you can 1, study anything that breaks out, or 2, avoid anything that comes near you. So it's this wonderful, gentle paranoia. Love it.
Perfect.
Like, where are you going to retire? Well,
somewhere where the people aren't. They can't get at us.
So does this mean? Down at Just Games, you've had a summer of gaming while we've all been lamenting 2-player games.
Yeah. So obviously the likes of Pokemon and Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Have all shut down all their organised play schemes that you'd normally just enjoy every week. We've been surreptitiously running every single Friday night Magic since July. And we've done every Pokemon pre-release live. So apart from missing a few of the bigger sort of event titles like Ikoria, just happened to come out while we were in lockdown, and Theros was affected by lockdown coming up, and Darkness Ablaze. We actually managed to run Darkness Ablaze as a pre-release in store, so everyone could get out, get a bit of stress off, actually enjoy, meet up with their friends and play a game in the shop, which was great. Especially because obviously Pokemon is all about younger kids, so it was good for them, and it was good for us as well to have that environment and that energy.
And I've seen some of your photos, and I've been perusing your Facebook page. Like, events like this aren't unusual, are they? They're part and parcel of the life of Just Games, aren't they?
Yeah, we do stuff every day of the week. Well, we don't necessarily advertise all of the stuff we do every day because it kind of gets monotonous if you're just advertising, hey, it's Tuesday Yu-Gi-Oh! And people just get bored of that, seeing the adverts. But every Tuesday Yu-Gi-Oh! Every single day of the week we're doing D&D of some description. The Star Wars RPG and Destiny guys meet up on Wednesdays. Commander on Thursdays for Magic. Friday Night Magic, of course. And then things like Age of Sigmar tournaments. We ran a big 2,000 point Age of Sigmar tournament, sort of signify the end of summer, back in September. And we're planning on doing another one to do the end of Christmas. So we've just started advertising that for January.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you told Games Workshop about this?
My account handler knows. Unfortunately, he's off sick at the moment, so he's not. feel for him, but yeah, Games Workshop are actually pretty good, and they do a pretty good level of support. And because they had to scrap their own Warhammer Underworlds organized play scheme, which is a shame because we've just done our Q3 and Q4 tournaments with no prize support. They're sympathetic to our cause, and hopefully they'll be able to provide a cool prize for the competition, painting competition, or even the Age of Sigmar tournament, which we're planning on doing next year. So
that's extremely cool.
Wow,
that's very, very cool.
Now, in another life, I had to deal with getting things to places like the Isle of Man, and I understand some of the logistical challenges there. How is it for yourselves?
Kind of the same, pretty much almost identical to the Isle of Man. There's a stretch of water between us and the mainland. Most of our stuff comes in via plane. Stuff that can't fly, like spray cans, things with too much battery in it, etc., come by boat. So if the ever so treacherous, busiest body of water in the world, the English Channel, is unpassable for a day because the weather's up, then we just get delays. So thankfully, PS5 launch happened and nothing, and that went on time, and we had a midnight launch for that, which was great.
Wow.
And we haven't had any major delays for anything big, touch wood, for the rest of the year, but you never know, we might get someone, flying flights delayed by 2 days because they can't physically take off or land. That happens. We just take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah. So
that's wonderfully chill. That's very much the island attitude of we'll get there. I was like, that's
it's
fine.
Like British manana.
Yes.
I was just thinking that, manana. Yeah, that's very, very cool.
They'll get there eventually.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the stores. I'm going to show folks at home the outside of the shop. How long have you been on the Albany down in St. Peter's Port?
So we moved there from our previous premises in Church Square, 2018 Easter. So they made a big thing. The irony was we moved on April Fool's Day, so it was genuinely still a joke that we'd actually moved shop because we stayed open at the old place. Actually, both shops open at the same time. Most people tend to pack up, build one, and then do the other. But because I'm an absolute psycho when it comes to that thing, I just didn't. But we've been there for 3 years, or we're in the third Christmas, I should say. I always go off Christmases as my year, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because retail. But we've been there 2018, 19, 20. This is the third year. Is it the hardest year we've been there? No, in a weird way. The lockdown has kind of helped staycations and people staying at home. It's been quite busy and quite vibrant, and there's been an awful lot of local love and things like initiatives to do with shopping locally and things like that have really helped keep the community alive, and it's been good. The main reason we moved was because the new premises has a much larger second floor where we can put the actual games room in all the time. So we've got tables and chairs out. We've also installed a LAN network with a bunch of computers in, so people can just come in and play an hour on Xbox or PlayStation. Sadly, not enough consoles of the new ones to put those on yet, but that'll happen next year. It's been really good. It's been good.
That's very cool. So it's definitely, I like that it is. So I like this with your logo as well, because this is just games, and there's this big sword through the bright red logo, and that I like, because it's like, it's just games. We're here to play. It's all cool. Everything's good. And then it's like the sword. Well, it's just and justice and so on, which is cool. So yes. When did your shop start? If you were moving 3 years ago?
So we opened in 2013, and we basically. I used to work for HMV, and with the company troubles that they had, we effectively decided that now was the time. I decided rather it was the time to move on and start my own business. So got inaugurated June 2013, and then finally got the shop open September 20th, and never looked back. Awesome. It was an interesting first Christmas, but it worked, so I can't complain too hard.
Wow, I mean that's spinning something not so great into something amazing. That I like it. That's great.
I don't think it was one of those perfect storms of situation where, if I'd stayed with HMV, I could have stayed there for another 3-4 years, and then what would have happened, and when they eventually pulled out of Guernsey, sadly. But it would have meant that it sounds crazy, but obviously everything is always driven by money, and the local market for gaming is quite large, because small community island, can't really get out, so people want stuff to do at home, people want stuff to do with each other. And that sort of idea of buying board games, card games, RPGs, the gap in the market was there, and HMV's video game sort of side of things, because they weren't able to get all the Nintendo titles, people would have to go online, and the moment you lose people to online, it's hard to get them back, or harder to get them back. So if I'd left it 2 or 3 years, I think we probably wouldn't have had a successful first year as we did, and wouldn't have been able to get that community spirit back in and get the support from everyone in Guernsey. So yeah, I think it was the right time to jump. Obviously, would have preferred it to be in better circumstances than everybody losing their jobs, but yeah, sometimes you have to make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, silver linings and routes forward.
Absolutely.
So what was it about, like, obviously there was the timing, the perfect storm kind of thing, but what was it about, like, games and board games as well, that you went, that's what I'm going to do? Was it that it's a very popular pastime in the area, or is it something?
Yeah.
Is it a lifelong dream, or is it one of those where you just thought about it and then, you know?
Well, it was always part of my sort of career goal to eventually manage my own store and build up that way. And this was an opportunity to show that, take all the training and take all of the sort of knowledge and experience I'd had working for HMV, and then apply it to myself. And it's great. I do recommend it to anyone who else was thinking of maybe doing something that's a passion project or a hobby. Just make sure you tick all your boxes and make sure you can afford to do it. As long as that's the thing and you are actually able to make a living out of it, then that support yourself as well as growing the trend, the hobby, the business, whatever. Then yeah, go for it with both feet. For me, it was a bit of a passion project. I've been a gamer as long as I've been alive, pretty much, I think is the easiest way to say that. And yeah, being able to get people away from I don't want to call them boring games, but the traditional games of Monopoly and Cluedo and Risk, introduce them to something a bit more fun or a bit more fair, a bit less RNG based, like Catan or Carcassonne or Ticket to Ride or and all of that stuff. You know, I'm a big fan of things like Smash Up, King of Tokyo. Play those easily. Red Dragon Inn is one of my favorite sort of go-to games for just let's have a game or something. Because obviously, it has the D&D side of things to it, and I'm a massive nerd in that respect, and I've been RPG playing since I was about 15. And obviously the computer game side of it is key. If there's nowhere else in Guernsey that you can go and buy a PlayStation console, a new controller, a game for your Switch, then having that outlet is a necessary thing on an island like ours. If you don't have it, you have to, and can only go online, then you're effectively doing yourself a disservice. And so by providing that service to the locals, we've grown strength to strength, really.
So do you find there's an interesting crossover from those who come in looking for online gaming, and then, you know, they might look around and it's like, well, what are those people doing? You know?
Yeah, we try to make as much of a thing now where we're trying to push people upstairs, or at least get them to explore. So there's always that thing of people go, well, what's up there? And because I think there's that, especially in smaller shops or less chain store style environments, if you see a staircase leading up, you don't necessarily go, oh, that's floor 2.
Yes,
unless you
in
know
case it's somebody's living room.
Or you think it's a storeroom or something. So trying to push people to say, no, go upstairs. So on the staircase itself, we've got more product, and it slowly bleeds from being Switch accessories to gaming merchandise to board games and card games on display, so that it looks obvious that you're slowly walking into the sort of tabletop gaming area. And we've also put more downstairs with little flashes saying, hey, more games upstairs and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's getting people to take that plunge themselves. And things like Cards Against Humanity, as much as I can moan about it, and it's I appreciate what they've done, and they're a really small company that have done really well, and they do an awful lot of charity work, so I can't moan against that. But that sort of entry-level casual game that anyone can play, and you play your audience with, especially older people, will get you into more serious gaming or more fun, more sort of, I suppose, things to do games.
Yes. What we think of as the more modern games and the current set of gaming. No.
Obviously, the jargon of going Euro game and Meeple and all the rest of it, and some people that's still alien and unknown. and trying to say, well, look, it's not all just stuffy Cluedo or Monopoly, and it's not you can't just lose this game because your dice came up a 5 but your mates came up a 6 kind of thing. There's a lot more to it and a lot more strategy. Playing something like Five Tribes is a much better economic game, and then you can get the conversation building up with which is what we do. It's the main thing about being a local game store is to be that sort of friendly touch point. And as much as it's sell sort of mentality, it's all actually about
it's the experience.
Trying to grow people. It's the experience and trying to get people to try new things that they may not have done, and being able to explain it in that, take this intimidating factor away and make it more sort of accessible and easy.
That's very, very cool.
When you getting your new and you're putting up your stock up the stairs and around, is there any stuff that you have to stop yourself going, oh, I just want this one? Because I'm looking here, and let me show folks, so we can see a little bit of your games area. So we've got the Warhammer table, and then we've got like a nice bookshelf, and I can see right on that back shelf there's the Curse of Strahd revamp box. And I'm like, that wouldn't make it to the shelf if I was there. That would be straight home with me for testing or something.
The advantage of that one is that at least we got 4. So that's the last one of 4. It's what I know. What I tend to do is I'm very restrained, and so for me it stays on the shelf, and if it's still there after X date, then it's suddenly in my living room, or I've bought it, and so far that's done me well. I've not purchased as much as I would normally do. And then sometimes it completely fails, such as when I bought all of God Tier because we had one game, and then I went, I'm just going to buy everything.
I have all of these, thank you.
That's amazing.
Are there ones that you really kind of fall in love with when they come in and you have to sit? What tempts you?
I'm a sucker for sort of high fantasy, very silly games, or anything to do with I suppose it stems from my big monster movie love. So I'm a big fan of films like Jaws, Pacific Rim, the Toho Godzilla series, that kind of thing. So obviously, the moment King of New York was a thing, I was on that like anything. Any sort of, I'm less of a Call of Cthulhu, Eldritch Horror kind of guy. I get it, and I do like it and enjoy it, but when I play that game, it's more about the investigation and the cooperation. It's more like, to me, I could be playing Pandemic just as easily as Eldritch Horror kind of thing. But something like King of Tokyo or Smash Up, where you can just take silly concepts and smash them together and have silly fun with it. That's my kind of gas, if you like. And so for me, it's almost like the more colourful the game and the more cartoony, weeby, anime, whatever. Like I haven't got around to buying all of the Arcadia Quest and Starcadia Quest series yet, but I have kickstarted Marvel Unite. Stuff like that.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's kind of my shtick. And miniature gaming, and things with little figures are always something I like to do. I've been a Games Workshop fan probably more than I was a D&D fan. Actually, I was about 8 when I got my first sort of set of miniatures and started painting and things like that. So I kind of like that hobby, crafty kind of stuff as well. And while I'm an absolute time issue kind of guy when it comes to painting stuff, so I've got loads of minis but none of them are painted, and loads of miniature games, none of them are painted. My entire God Tier lot is just left as in their resin, but and stuff like that. That's the sort of thing I tend to go for.
So is that why you scheduled a painting competition as a make me paint something?
No, I'm not entering that, sadly. I'll be one of the judges.
Okay, I see.
But I'm experienced enough to know what to look for, even though my personal level of painting is terrible compared to what some people can do. It was more just because we've been talking about it, and we've done small ones in the shop a couple of times, so Games Workshop-y kind of ones where the first one we ever did back in the old store, we were providing a push-fit plastic Space Marine, the same one, everyone got the same model, and it was just literally a go, take this, paint it, free competition, and we just put them on display in the display cabinets, and they were quite good. It was a great way of advertising that side of the hobby. And the paint and modelling side has grown almost more than the miniature side has in the last sort of 3 years, where we've added in things like army paint to range and having to get in an entire new paint range and basing materials and things like that.
Wow.
And magnets so people can do different poses and things, and alternate weapon swaps. And as a sort of support for that, one of the good things about having a bunch of tables and chairs is people can use it as a meeting spot. So there's a local Guernsey plastic modeler group who aren't Games Workshop based. They're not Mantic. They're not Privateer Press. It's none of the sort of games that they're into. They're just, we make plastic models, and it's things like they'll scratch build Tiger tanks for World War II and make dioramas.
Wow.
They'll go through and they have a meeting where each week they'll do like a different buzzword. Where I think the next one is helicopters. And they'll bring in things to do with that word, and they'll just talk about what they've done and how they've done it and techniques and things like that. And it's really cool to see. So the painting competition is much more of a give back to that wider hobby community, saying, I'm not really after a specific games models or a Games Workshop product, things like that. So here is an island competition where anyone can enter any model. If it fits into a category which is based on size and best fit, if you like, and gives people a chance to show off their skills and the things they love doing.
Wow,
that's really cool. You also get that lovely sharing of things where, because someone's doing very specific, say, real world stuff, they've had to do a particular technique or a particular set of stuff, and actually someone says, that would look amazing on my orc army because it's exactly the right sort of thing, and you get this lovely sharing of things rather than it being silos. That's a lovely way of doing stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the more advanced techniques which people find intimidating, being able to sort of see it and almost touch it, being able to see things like mud, weathering, scratches, that kind of thing, and going, talking to the person who did it and go, how did you do that? And having that kind of bonus ability to sort of talk to something and have that feedback directly, rather than just going on a YouTube video or seeing somebody else do it and having that intimidation factor of, I can never make it look that good. Also, we're doing it in conjunction with the local museum service. Every year they do what's called an event called Big Geek End, where they get a sort of homage to all of that pop culture and geekery stuff going on. So things like the live action role players will do some displays. The reenactors might do some showing off of metal weapons. The World War II modelers are there. The train hobbyists are there displaying their stuff. And the idea is that because this is a central point and kind of like a showcase, that's where we're going to do the judging. And so people can bring their models and actually have them on display in a museum.
That's amazing.
And people can come in and see them without having to be at a specific event at a specific time. So that'd be. I'm looking forward to that. That'd be really cool as a thing to do for 2021.
That's absolutely tremendous. I want to live on this island. This is awesome. It's got this great gaming community. You talk to everybody else. That's just wicked. I can also see myself with the binoculars going, is the boat year yet? I'm out of whatever spray paint blur I've run out of this time.
Sometimes it does.
So obviously there's a great kind of mini and modeling community as well. You've mentioned a little bit of RPGs. Like, you run RPGs at the shop every day, is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. So I personally do a Wednesday like newbie session for D&D 5th, which has been really popular. I've had to the point where I've had to actually say, really sorry, there's no more room. Really popular. And then Mondays, I have a gaming group that cycles through DMs. We've been running for years. Same with our Thursday one. I'm currently running a homebrew on Thursday nights, and then other people are also running groups as well. So it's not just one group running, which is great. We've got enough tables that at peak we had 4 groups running at once.
Wow.
And I felt really sorry for 5 guys who turned up to play Magic because there was no space for them. That's how crazy that was. So we got them a fold-up table and went, here you go, just go hide in the corner.
Awesome.
That's
very cool.
It's a very different thing, I suspect, for Magic players being the minority of that. I know they're a force to be reckoned with. It's such a popular game. That's a cute story.
That's why we have to give them at least some leeway. So Thursdays, there's a lot of people come in and play Commander while we're also playing D&D.
Okay.
And obviously, Friday is the only day where Magic is the only thing that happens. But saying that, in recent times, people have been coming and playing Age of Sigmar, Warcry, and small skirmish, like Blood Bowl and stuff like that, while other people are playing Magic around them. So it's
that's great.
It's great.
It's good when you can have it
social.
Yeah.
And you also get the crossover. So like people will play Magic one week and then go, you know what, next week I don't really care about playing a draft or modern or whatever. I'm going to play Sam at Age of Sigmar. We'll have a 1,000-point game, whatever, and I'll play Magic and just do something different. Gives you time to actually use your hobbies.
Yeah, rather than I've got a bunch of minis in a box down there that need to be painted. I've primed them. I've done that.
That's good.
Yeah, we got.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
It's
some
lovely,
pieces
yeah.
out of shot up there that you can't see. I've not, but no, it's good because when you have that regular sort of, you can see so and Davo who's playing Sigma, and you're like, oh no, I'll just that kind of stuff. It's good to have those kind of crossovers. How is the run up to Christmas going down in Just Games?
Pretty good. So the accelerator pedal got hit, I think, best way to describe it, last Thursday, where we obviously did the launch of PlayStation 5. And since then, it's pretty much been everyone's in like Christmas go mode. It's almost like the late night shopping, the lights went on last weekend, and it's the first official town late night shopping on Thursday.
Yeah.
So to sort of explain that to those who maybe live in a city and don't really have the concept of having a specific night for a late night shop. Normally, shops close about 5:30, 6 o'clock in Guernsey, and just because most people, it's local. So apart from the big stores like Waitrose will stay until 9. It's just people running shops in their own houses or living above the shop floor, so they don't need to stay open all time. And then Thursdays, the run up to Christmas, the town do like the 4 Thursdays before Christmas Eve. And then they're late night shopping where everyone stays up until 9. So there's much more people suddenly rush into town to do. Not necessarily. It's not like Black Friday where people are grabbing bargains. It's just getting the Christmas shopping done. But it has a lovely kind of community feel to it, and they'll have your Christmas market style stuff out. People doing market stalls, roasting chestnuts, carol singers, people busking with all the lights on and stuff. And given our town is kind of, I guess medieval is a good word to use in its way it's built. Not that we didn't get bombed into oblivion, had to rebuild in World War II because obviously the Germans took over, so they didn't need to bomb us. They just bombed some tomato trucks on the way in, that was it. So you've got this traditional cobbled streets kind of affair with narrow houses and things sort of lining it all. So it's quite enclosed and looks cool when Christmas is on. Sounds dreamy. Thanks.
It does. That's amazing.
It does sound
wonderful.
wonderful.
AD's tanking the chat.
Oh, you always will.
That's amazing.
So late night kicks in this week.
Yeah, so it's the first late night shop this Thursday or tomorrow.
Tomorrow, goodness.
And I had admittedly completely forgotten that it was this week, so I hadn't cancelled my D&D session. So I'm not sure how that's going to go. I might just throw them a Small World and say get on with it.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
And so Christmas decorations gone up, and do you change any of, like, I know some stores have like a specific, like, okay, we're going to bring out Letters for Santa, and what was the snowman game, snowman dice that we saw? Yeah. Do you bring all those, and do you or is it one of those like everything's good at Christmas kind of?
I'm a little bit like that. We might occasionally get something Santa themed, but mostly we've got a bunch of like actual Christmas stuff like Elf on the Shelf and Christmas jumpers for geek franchises like Star Wars and
ugly jumpers,
Sonic and stuff like that. So that gets trundled out every year for this time, but I'm not actually very good at doing the sort of getting just the Christmas stuff. So I don't like the idea of just turning into a Christmas store. So while we have, there's the token amount. I'm not as big as some places where suddenly you walk in and there's an entire aisle of like Christmas themed.
This is snow and these are elves. And this is
exactly. So I mean, for our feature bay for sort of like here's some Christmas gift ideas is currently the 25th anniversary of Catan.
Nice.
Dixit, Ticket to Ride Europe because Europe, and some Fortnite figures.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's a good
That's
plan.
a very good way of doing things.
So
I'm also, I think I've got the world's smallest tree, but that's mostly just because I'm too miserly with shop space to put like a massive one up. It's about that big. Just sits on the counter to the side.
On the counter, it's there.
That's all right.
You've achieved the Christmas spirit. That's good.
It also sounds like if it were any bigger, you'd have D&D or Magic players sat round it as another area
Probably,
to play, which is amazing.
Yeah.
We could probably, until we gave away the commons box to some young people who wanted it, just getting into the game, we could have probably built the tree out of magic cards.
That's epic.
Yeah, that would have been pretty interesting. Would you have to build them all out of green lands? Would that be what you'd have to build your Christmas tree?
As they are the ones we're perennially out short on when it comes to drafts, no, they would all be planes.
All the
Okay.
planes.
I was going to say the
Snow
thing is, if
tree.
you start with green and then you put something else in there, you're gonna get nerd rage because it's not right. Or you're gonna have to put the white at the edges, like frosting snow or something. It's that cold.
And you could do.
That's
just
it.
use
That's what I want to
whiteboarded
see.
lands.
Show us your Christmas tree made out of magic cards.
Yeah.
Gen Con do a lot of this build stuff in their foyer. They do it over the 4-day convention in America, and people build towers out of it. You bring any leftover cards you want, it's all donated. And then at the end of it, I think you get to rampage through and destroy it once you've won the charity raffle to do so,
That's amazing.
which is tremendous.
That's brilliant.
Build a thing, pay to destroy it. It's very gamer. I like it.
That's awesome. That's really cool. But I wouldn't recommend doing that in somebody's shop.
No, please.
Not unless they're running the
behave.
So have you got anything that you're excited that's going to arrive for Christmas? Are you all over Catan this year with all the extra 25 years stuff, or is it just about reminding folks that these are good?
Well, there's a little bit of that, but there's not actually been that much new stuff because of the COVID lockdown. There's some big new stuff. So the 25-year revamp where they combine an awful lot of things in single boxes is good for getting people into the hobby. It won't necessarily be stuff that people who are already into buying Catan or already got Catan at home and going to necessarily want to upgrade to, because they've probably got a lot of what's in it. But it is great as a starting point, and so we've been pushing that in a way. It's a weird one. You often get the themed games this time of year where people are just will pick up Frozen 2 Monopoly because it's got Frozen 2 on it. So you get a bit of that, which is sort of as close to Christmas gifty sort of stuff as it really gets. But yeah, I think because of the lockdown putting a damper on a lot of releases, there's been nothing huge for Christmas in sort of compared to like last year and the year before that. Which is a bit of a shame, but it does mean that some of the games that have been out for longer, that are like hardy perennial, everyone should play this on everyone's top 10 list, get more of a look in. So I think I've done more of a push on things like getting in a big whack of Small World, getting in a big whack of Azul, getting in a big load of Five Tribes, and actually going, here are our favourite games that we like playing, and this is why you should buy them. And we can then just say, anything off that stuff there is really good for X, Y, Z. Dixit is one of my favourite push games at the moment for, especially for families, because they're looking at what can come in and they want to get, say, they've got a child who's heavily autistic or has a bad case of ADHD or just has other learning difficulties, and they want something they can play with their other children. And you're like explaining that Dixit is a game that almost like based on the Cards Against Humanity, you play the people you're with, more than you have a set bunch of rules. You can bring it up or dumb it down to level. So even if you buy the same game and play it with your 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and have a kiddie style game where you just make things nice and simple concepts, nursery rhymes, colours, whatever, you can then play the same game with your parent friends.
Yes.
And have a completely different feel and tactic and approach to how the game works in an adult way. And it's a really good game for doing that. So that's one of my sort of big ones for this Christmas that I've been sort of pushing to people.
No, that's great. That's a lovely multiple use and really highlights part of why board games are so cherished, really. You can create memories from every group you bring it to. I love it. That's cool. I like that you mentioned Azul there because it looks. I always think it looks like Sweeties on the table. Like no, that's a good game.
It's always a good way to start fights with people you never realised were that competitive, while not being a competitive game.
Yeah, like
absolutely.
I was going to take that. It's like okay.
And
idea.
Small World. I was going to say.
You got So you do a lot of role playing and things, and you actually broadcast your role playing games as well, don't you?
So I personally don't. I'm with Heavyweight Gaming, and he does an awful lot of broadcasting of various RPGs.
Yes, absolutely.
We have done Roll20 and stuff from the store, and the problem we had is I couldn't get everyone on Guernsey who plays to get online. So as crazy as it sounds, the only reason we haven't broadcast anything, we were planning on doing some broadcasting during lockdown, and sadly, I just couldn't get the guys set up to actually have more than just me as a talking head.
Right.
So that was what kiboshed that idea. But then I didn't need to, because Heavy does so well on, or AD does so well on doing every different one, bringing people to like Cyberpunk, the Alien RPG they did for the charity 24-hour, Call of Cthulhu, 5th Ed, obviously the eponymous 5th Ed at the moment, and Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which I play on Saturdays, and so with him, if you like, but it's nice to have the ability to join in with that, and then bring and the store sponsors the Saturday night one as kind of like a homage to the fact that it's our way of giving back to the community a bit.
That's very cool. So this was interesting because I have a long list of friendly local game stores, some of whom respond and some of whom you have to chase around the internet for a little bit. And yours came back. He was like, "Yeah, here's our thing." I was like, "Oh, that's great. Can you confirm the social media channels?" "Yeah, here we go." It's like Heavyweight Gaming. That's AD's mob. Like, how do you know? It's and it turns out that we all know each other in a different life in another universe where we run around a field with a rubber sword, on our bit of the islands rather than the Guernsey bit of the islands. But
we do run around with swords on the Guernsey bit of the island, but only like 7 or 8 of us at once. So I've not been able to do it for very long because of the shop.
Yeah, that seems fair. Like, run
LT
around.
is our holiday.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. AD says that we do look good in the field. Yes, well, I think you guys do. Me less so as an urchin, but there you go.
Your kit was better than mine.
That's awfully kind.
Well, yeah, I never really considered my kit to be really good when I was an NPC, because it was like, I'm gonna have to rip this off at a moment's notice to do X, Y, Z. So it's literally just a
put
throw.
Yellow jacket over it to referee. Oh dear, that's amazing.
It's really good. I was going to say, it's really good that you still get to play. You mentioned you play the Saturday night games, because I'm always very conscious when we talk to friendly local game stores. I'm really worried or really, really concerned that they will somehow along the way become where you see like shopkeepers who are like, grumble. And it's been really nice to hear that the folks we've managed to speak with still have this internal passion for gaming. It's really cool. Are you playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition?
Yes, on Saturdays.
Yeah. What is your character? Tell us about them.
So we're playing a homebrew, which is part of the Colossus world that AD has been working on with Arcane Script as a homebrew setting called Colossus. And I'm playing a orc, not a half orc, a full orc, although I think I'm actually using the half orc heritage just to make things easier and nice to look up new fluff. Called Segavain, who is basically an aspiring knight of the Ivy Knight as the champ. So I'm a champion, but lawful neutral as opposed to lawful good. So I'm not a paladin per se. But basically, the tenets of the Knight of Ivy, of the Ivy Knight, is pretty much like the lawful lawbringer and judging people. So it's all about effectively being a policeman, but we're running it very much like the Knight's Tale, where I'm naive and aspiring and have no clue what I'm doing, and I've got like 3 guys who are really good at what they do, but aren't necessarily.
Are they helping?
They help a lot actually. But like stupid stuff like if we need to infiltrate a secret group, well, shiny light boy over there, who's not a shiny light boy, but also you wouldn't bring the policeman who's not an undercover cop to the mob meeting. So we send the rogue, the bard, the sorcerer off to do that kind of daring do.
Slightly shonky side of things.
Yeah. Well, I sit there and twiddle my thumbs and basically act all innocent.
That's amazing.
But it's been fun. And also the Pathfinder system, I think a lot of people don't realise quite how much straight out the book and the core system rulebook, you can tweak a character more so than 5th Ed. If you've just got access to the core rulebook in Pathfinder, you've got something like 5 times the character options than you would in equivalent to having the player's handbook for 5th Ed. So while they're both good and they have loads of things that built into to the whole world afterwards, just literally straight out of the rulebook, how much you can do and how different you can make a character compared to somebody else who could do almost the same thing in a completely different way. It's also been the first time I've played someone who's been really focused on shield. And doing it as a reactive thing, which is nice, the way Pathfinder works. Rather than it just being I've got a high AC and things hit me, being reactive and thinking tactically of, right, well, if I put my shield in the way, then I can block the hit for another guy, or if it comes towards me, I can use the shield instead of me, and having that kind of extra level of tactical nous, and also being able to just go oi no when someone hits your mate
Yes.
is really cool. So it's a fun, interesting new way of playing it. And normally I'm not a fan of paladins. I had to once play the designated healer on our Thursday night game, and I very much didn't play properly and played very much like I'm just going to do my own thing. And the healing's kind of a secondary thing that will happen when you're on the floor.
Yeah.
So my group didn't like that much, but it worked okay for the group. And then playing a paladin where you're like, well, you're a paladin. Like, well, I'm not a paladin. I can play it slightly different than the usual. I have to go and do this. I can still have a code and I still have to do things, but I'm not as hampered by it. I can do a little bit of the dark. I can do a little bit of what people want to do in the murder hobo sense. And something a bit different. And yeah, Pathfinder 2nd has allowed me to do that while not having to use crazy homebrew rules or crazy like remake my class. I've just been able to play it as is, straight out of the book. The only thing that's really homebrew is the setting and the sort of character tropes. Which is good.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah, I think
I could literally talk for hours about RPGs. I apologize.
I was going to say, there's people
It's all right.
in the chat who are also keen and singing praises, shall we say, of Sir Gawain.
I was.
He's not that good. He's terrible at flirting.
Oh.
Wow, knights and paladins doing that to try and get social status or convince the NPC. That's always wonderfully awkward.
In fact, Chaz agreeing.
Yes, indeed. No, it's good to hear a little bit more about Pathfinder 2nd Edition, because it's, I think First Edition at times had a bit of an intimidating footprint, even though it did allow you to do a lot of what you're saying, a lot of customization. But Pathfinder 2nd Edition, it feels like they've really refined those systems and added in ways for you to quickly get to the bits you want. Compared with, yeah, I like it.
The sort of main thing with Pathfinder 1, obviously for our group, was we were really involved 3.5. So even D&D 3rd, we played D&D 3rd all the way through. I DM'd D&D 3rd. I still use D&D 3rd Ed source books for some things. Like the current campaign I'm running, which is in Pathfinder 1 in the shop on Thursdays, we use the Ghost Walk rules from D&D 3rd because they're 100% incompatible. It's really easy. So Pathfinder 3.75, if you like, D&D 3.75, Pathfinder 1 was a jump. It wasn't even like if you come in as a new person, it was really intimidating because there's all of this stuff. And yes, it's been simplified. Yes, it's still clearly explained, but it's a homage to people knowing it already. I think is the best way to describe it. But if you have moved across organically from playing regular D&D and you didn't want to do 4th, because who the hell wanted to do 4th Ed? it was the next best thing. In fact, it was actually better than Pathfinder 1. Very much was an improvement on the broken. Took away all the broken stuff in 3.5 and streamlined it a bit, while still making it fun, accessible, and customizable. And then obviously Second Ed, they've learned from their mistakes. They've looked at what's gone on in other systems and gone, that works. We like that. We like that. We like that, and brought those all together. And while some people find 5th Ed is a little bit beige, and that's why you need so many extra source books to bring in more options and more things, and make things a bit more different. And there's great concepts and scope for home brewing. It just means that there's a lot of similarity between various classes, and optimization's kind of hard. Pathfinder 2nd Ed allows you, I say, a lot more customization just out using the core book. You don't need as much of the extra stuff to help and flavor it.
I think the revelation for me was the actions in combat. Like there was a moment where I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I like that. That's good. Yeah. More of this, please. That was
rather than just attack of opportunity.
Things like that. And variable spell and that kind of stuff was great, and I really enjoyed that bit of combat because I always found that Pathfinder does combat so brilliantly. Like your options in there are fabulous. Second Ed combat was great. I was delighted. But anyway, I could go on and on about RPGs. All the time. We were playing Tales from the Loop yesterday, and
nice.
Yeah, we were doing some other stuff later in the. But I could go on about it all the time, and clearly Stu could too. But we can't because we're only going to talk for a little bit longer. So I guess this is the point where we ask you to just tell us where we can find out more about Just Games and where you are, where to go to find this this wonderful campaign with Sir Sir Gawain, and everything about you.
To find out everything about me sounds bad, but yeah, Facebook's a good place for that. No. So we are located behind the bus terminus in the Albany. So if you ever come to Guernsey and visit the wonderful, beautiful island, which I totally recommend to everybody, if you happen to do this during spring, early part of summer, late part of summer, winter, when the weather's terrible, British weather still exists over here. Although it's lovely, the summer is really nice and lasts until about October. Then yeah, if you need a respite from the weather and want to do some geekery, we are in St. Peter Port, the main town, just to the south in the South Esplanade area, which is where the bus station is, and we're right behind the bus station, so we're really easy to find. And other than that, online we are on justgames.gg, which is our website, and gives you some general info about us. There is a little bit of a store on there if people want to buy stuff, and we'll deliver out. The delivery fees are a little bit high because we've got to go to Elfin Island, sadly. But it's a great place to find some stuff that. It's less of a here and now website. I use it as more of a place to find old stuff that you can't find elsewhere. So old Netrunner.
I was about to say, I've seen the Netrunners on there. I know some Netrunners who I'm, after this show, going to go and point this out because there are a few who will be itching for those packs.
And D&D figures as well, just because they're nice and easy and simple to post out, and that's to keep the price down a little bit. And yeah, they're hard to find elsewhere. So we get a lot of people from Poland who use it, and Czechoslovakia. So clearly there's a service there. Facebook, Just Games GSY. The GSY stands for Guernsey, abbreviated, and you'll see this on a few other Guernsey businesses. Call it Solidarity, I guess. And that's where you can find information about events and stuff we're doing.
And then Kate has posted kindly in the chat the Twitch channel Heavyweight Gaming, where you can go on Saturday night. What time does that start on Saturday?
So on Saturdays for Pathfinder, that starts at 8 o'clock usually, but we run every other week. So it should be on this week. We were gap week last week, mostly just to give AD some time with his missus, because can't take up all that guy's time, otherwise he'll never do anything. Yeah. Apart from RPGs. So yeah, Saturdays today. He's also on every other night of the week as well. So check him out on his Twitch channel. And if you're interested in the world of Colossus and want to know more, go to their Patreon, which is Patreon Heavyweight Gaming.
In the chat as well.
You can sign up to an e-zine.
Ooh.
And I may be helping with some probable Pathfinder crossover / random stuff for 5th Ed next year.
Oh, that's exciting.
Very, very cool.
Sometimes actually do some writing.
Time to do some
writing. This is a wonderful community. I am envious of your island life. It's marvellous.
It is. It sounds great. It's really. I love that you're heading out to the museum and you're getting involved with all those other bits and that's really lovely. It's like, now I'm going to go and chat with some of my local game stores and see if they can manage to make those, because that's a really lovely idea. It has been a genuine pleasure chatting with you, Stu, and I know Kate and myself would love to nerd out about more of this Pathfinder and LARPing and everything really, but unfortunately we can't, because in a little while we're going to be chatting with Ross from Alley Cat Games and finding out what they've been up to since Virtually Expo. If folks have a game store that you want us to chat with, a little bit like a couple of weeks ago when Candlekeep were mentioned, and then we went out and we found them, we brought them onto the show. If you have someone you want to recommend, someone you want us to find out how it all got started, find out what they're doing, and share your favourite game store, give us a poke on Twitter, on Twitch, on Facebook. We really don't bite. That's the thing to remind. I'm sure. Tell your game stores it's easy peasy, and we want to share this friendly local game stores all around, because that's where the communities are, and that's who we want to champion a bit more. It has been wonderful to chat with you, Stu. Have a wonderful Christmas over there on Guernsey.
That's right, and you too. Stay safe.
Yeah. We're gonna take a minute or two to set up for Ross with Alley Cat Games, and also get another cup of coffee, and we'll be right back, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye.